tree line and forest on either side. Great view. Just really pretty during the day. At night, when the moon was out, you could see things very well, but very pretty and scenic area. You see the fish hitting the top of the water in the lake as we're at the shoreline, looking for anomalies and satellites. And we had cameras out there. I had my third generation night vision, and I could zoom in on some things and see whether there's an array on the satellite, or whether it's cylindrical or spherical. But very cold night. Boy, oh boy, that was a test.
Yes, matter of fact, you were there at the Skywatch at the edge of the lake while those guys were at the top of the mountain, and I remember how clear.
Please leave your message for 42534678818.
I'm going to try to just allow some of these voicemails to go through here just because I don't want to lose everyone. But I was trying to bring in Kevin Beagle and Samara as well to tell us about the actual Takalaka Lake campground area. But you had your third generation night vision, or was it infrared that you're using there, Scotty?
I had them both. I got a high resolution infrared, but that just didn't pick up anything. You can't see anything in the sky. I looked around for any heat sources, but seriously, the thing will pick up a deer and its fawn at 1,500, 1,700 meters, and unless it's behind something, you won't see it. But I got nothing out of that, so then I just took out the light intensifying, typical military green, and just looked at the sky. And when anybody would make a comment or something was moving, I could zoom on it. But I tell you that many hundreds of stars I would see just in that one little view. It was absolutely amazing how many stars are out there compared to what you're just looking from your naked eye.
Yes,
I could see things pretty well, and really didn't see anything overly weird. The one thing that I thought was rather odd was that I believe we heard an avalanche of that mountain, where all the snow on the, shall we say, the east side of that major center portion of snow on the mountain shrugged down.
Yes.
But did any of the people up there, though, on the mountain, did they feel it? They notice any avalanche, or were we just hearing things?
Yes, we did notice it the next morning. There was some disturbance for sure. There was some rocks and stuff that came down on a snowfield by where we were at.
I would guess this happened in the evening, some 7 or 8 o'clock, something like that.
We only noticed it the next day.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't hear it at all.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mary, you're probably still hanging in there with us, are you? Hello, Mary Kennedy, are you there?
Sorry about that. The phone went dead. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good. All right. Well, we're just talking with Scotty about Takalaka Lake. Lee wasn't there, of course. He was on the top of the mountain. But I remember that we were actually watching the mountain from the edge of the lake during that Skywatch night and heard this rumble that came at us across the water, thinking that it was thunder initially. And then Lee Strauss the next morning says that there was a giant debris field on the mountain there. And I remember thinking we were kind of feeling a little trepidation here about our...
Your recording has reached the maximum length. To replay your message, press 1. To delete and re-record your message, press 3. For delivery options, press 4. To send a fax, press 6. To cancel this message, press star. To send this message now, press pound or hang up.
And I can't do either of these things because I don't want to lose any of you guys. So I'm just going to hopefully
To replay your message, press 1. To delete and re-record your message, press 3. For delivery options, press 4. To send a fax, press 6. To cancel this message, press star. To send this message now, press pound or hang up.
I have others. Maybe I
she gives up.
Let's hoping she gives
up. To replay your message, press 1. To delete and re-record your message, press 3. For delivery options, press 4. To send a fax, press 6. To cancel this message, press star. To send this message now, press pound or hang up.
2049.
Talking over you.
Say that again?
Your message has been sent.
You, so.
Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
Okay. Your message was sent.
Let's hear it for her. She's gone now. Goodbye. Okay. My goodness. I am not going to call anyone else, folks. So we are stuck with each other for the rest of the show, and I think that will be much better. So what I was mentioning, Mary, was the fact that we had a little bit of trepidation about our colleagues being on the mountain and hearing this giant rumble coming towards us from the mountain.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I wasn't there that night.
Yeah, it sounded like a big jet engine, only a little bit more muffled. And just, wow.
What?
It was just like that.
Yeah, it was fascinating. Well, by the way, then Mary, you're right. You brought me up to speed on that. But you had left that morning, I believe, before the Skywatch, and you want to regale us at this point of what happened to your vehicle and why you were concerned at that point the night before.
Yeah, and that's mainly why I left. I was not really prepared for the rain. I tried to set my tent up in the rain, and it ended up like a little lake of its own. And so I decided that night to sleep in the car. And, of course, by then I was soaked all the way through my clothes. So I started up the engine and let it run for 5 or 10 minutes. And, it's like always, starts right up. And then I shut it off. And just because I was being cautious, I double-checked the key to make sure that it was, all the way into the off position and not in an accessory position. So the key was completely off. There were no dash lights on. There was nothing. And I just remember thinking how dark it was. So there was nothing going on with my car. And anyway, I woke up the next morning and was going to start the car up to warm myself up a little because it was still really cold, and the battery was completely dead. It wouldn't turn over even a little bit. And this car has never experienced any problems, mechanical problems whatsoever. And, like I say, the night before it was working perfectly. And when I woke up on Monday morning, and this was probably about 9 o'clock when I tried to start the car, I got nothing. And so I hung around the camp for some time. I finally got a jump from the camp host, Jasmine, about 4 o'clock. And at that point, I drove over to where the other UFO I Team members were camped. And I kept the motor running because I was just afraid that, I didn't know what was wrong with the battery. And I was getting ready to leave when Lee showed up. And he said, I had mentioned to him about the battery, and he says, well, pop the hood. I want to show you a couple of things. And he was talking about the things you check when your battery dies. And he said, and I don't know, Lee, I probably will forget, but he said that you check the connections and the posts and all this, and he said yours all look good. Everything looks fine. So,
Scotty was actually giving you a little free,
Scotty,
giving Scotty,
Sorry,
everything was clean. There was no corrosion, no hot spots, like it got a bad contact and it was just heating up a small. I mean, it just looked sterile. And it's like, the only thing I could say was some anomaly, or it's a 7-year-old battery and it's just starting to give you a clue that it's time to visit the battery shop. But other than,
it's only 6 years old. I redid the math on that. It's only 6 years old, and like I say, I've never had any problem with it before, but. Mm-hmm. So I at that point I left because I had just experienced too many, weird things going on, and was pretty ready to go home. So unfortunately, I left before the Skywatch on Monday night.
Monday night, right? Okay, so this is a good timeline scenario that we've got so far, because on Saturday and Sunday we are down at East City Ranch, and that's where we witnessed this flaring up and laser firing UFO, and then of course Lee Strauss is on the top of the mountain with Philip Wade and their camera person. And they experience lights up on the mountain. That would have been probably, was that Saturday night, Lee, or Sunday night that you guys were staying overnight at the mountain?
Well, so Sunday night, we were on the mountain, but we were still down at our vehicles. We hadn't yet started to climb until Monday morning. So it was Monday night into Tuesday morning when we experienced the things that we experienced.
Okay. Now, that's significant for the timeline for our listeners. I just want to point out that you are at the top of the mountain on Monday night. We are down at Takalak Lake Monday, and then Monday night. And that's on the night before that, would have been Monday morning, very early, when Mary's car died, and decided that you needed to leave that day before the evening comes again because of the electronic problem that your car had. I think that's the scenario on the timeline, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's going to be very significant here coming up. So Monday night, then, what happens is that the UFO I Team at Takalak Lake decides to do the traditional sky watch with all of the cameras set up and Scotty's night vision, scopes. And the first thing that we noticed when we got to the lake was that Mars, the planet Mars, was so bright it just looked almost like an orange spotlight in the sky. That was fascinating. Do you remember that, Scotty?
Oh, yeah. I was there just on the right side of the mountain, and I just watched it move, I don't know, some 20, 30 degrees or so, at least 30 degrees to the west. It was a very good, clear shot, one of the better views I've seen of Mars ever.
Yeah, it was so clear that night, there wasn't a cloud in the sky. And, of course, the other stars were just popping out all over the place. And the most amazing thing was they were all reflecting on the surface of the lake, which was just like glass that night. There was hardly any wind at all. Then, of course, what happens off to the left, the full, beautiful, almost orange moon starts rising up over the tree tops and starts going up and over Mount Adams at the same time that Mars is moving off to the right as well. It was just a fascinating scene that we were all witnessing there. And if you want to add to that, Scotty, go right ahead.
Oh, it's amazing how bright the moon is when you look at your telescopes. They'll darn near weld your retina shut. But, boy, I thought Sam, she had a pretty nice telescope where you could put a shield on the front of it and cut down some of the light, but really nice views. Yeah, but
yeah, that's right.
We kept hearing a little bit of noise off in the woods a little bit, and Sam had the impression it could be a Sasquatch or something coming around, but we kept hearing something weird. I don't believe there was any campsites off in that area, but anyway.
No, that was fascinating. While we were doing the sky watches with our binoculars and night vision, and Ray Leo was doing the night vision video with the actual monitor there, so we could see what was going on. Sam Beagle, Samara Beagle, was actually using the telescope that she brought along and looking towards the top of the mountain as well, and also Mars and the moon. She says she could just almost feel like you're walking on the moon through her telescope there. But you're right. There were these interesting noises sounding like large twig snaps happening. where off to the left of our Skywatch site. And